The rain fell in endless sheets on Nereva, a planet where storms were as common as breathing. The sky was a swirl of gray and silver clouds, and the wind carried a strange, soft hum that made the air feel alive. Ships rarely landed here, for most considered it too dangerous, but Milo was not most people. As the small transport descended through the thick clouds, the lights of the landing station blinked like welcoming eyes. Milo gripped the railing of the shuttle's exit ramp, his boots splashing in puddles that already reflected the glowing clouds above. He squinted through the rain at the station ahead. It was older than it should have been, even for a human settlement. Parts of it were covered in moss-like growth, and the metal walls bore streaks of rust from constant storms. Yet something about the place felt alive, as if it were waiting for him. "Milo, careful," said Tara, his teammate, her voice almost lost in the howl of the wind. She wore a waterproof coat that seemed too thin for the harsh rain, but her determination showed more than any protective gear could. "The last crew left months ago. The station's systems are unstable. We don't know what we'll find." Milo nodded, adjusting the strap of his tool pack. He had worked on weather control systems before, but never anywhere like this. The station's purpose was simple: regulate Nereva's storms enough for human habitation. But reports hinted that the machinery was failing, leaving the planet's natural fury unchecked. Milo's mission was to repair it, but already, he sensed that Nereva had more to it than broken machines. As he walked into the station, the rain drummed on the metal roof like a relentless heartbeat. Milo paused when he noticed faint, glowing patterns on the wet walls. They were almost invisible, just soft lines of light that shimmered in the puddles at his feet. When the wind blew, the glow flickered, and Milo swore he heard whispers, soft, echoing murmurs that sounded like words just beyond comprehension. "Tara," he called, pointing to the symbols. "Do you see that?" Tara stepped closer, her eyes narrowing at the glowing lines. "It's strange. Almost like the walls are alive." She reached out to touch one, and a ripple of light spread beneath her fingertips, dancing like liquid silver. Milo felt a shiver run down his spine. "It's like the planet itself is trying to tell us something," he whispered. The team began inspecting the station's main hall. Broken consoles blinked randomly, and the air smelled faintly of ozone. Milo knelt to examine a control panel that had short-circuited, sparks flying lightly from the wires. As he worked, he kept glancing at the glowing symbols. Every time he looked, the whispers seemed to grow clearer, forming patterns in his mind that he could almost understand. Hours passed, and the storm outside only grew stronger. The wind rattled the station, but Milo worked steadily, guided by intuition more than instruction manuals. Finally, behind a panel near the old generator, his tools hit something solid. He cleared the debris and found a small, metallic device, half buried and coated in mud. It hummed faintly, its surface pulsing with the same soft light as the symbols on the walls. "What is it?" Tara asked, leaning in. "I'm not sure," Milo admitted, brushing the mud away. "But it feels connected to the planet." He activated the device, and immediately, the station was filled with rhythmic sounds, almost like a heartbeat. The whispers from the walls seemed to grow louder, forming a melody that both comforted and intrigued him. Milo could feel a strange warmth in his chest, as if the planet itself was aware of his presence. "This isn't just a machine," he said slowly. "It's a message. Or maybe an invitation." Tara's eyes widened. "A message from whom? From people who lived here before? Or from the planet itself?" Milo shrugged, feeling excitement mix with apprehension. He had spent years fixing machines and solving technical problems, but this was something entirely different. For the first time, he realized that his mission was not only about repairing systems, it was about understanding Nereva. As night fell, the storm outside became a wall of silver rain, and the station's lights flickered against the endless sheets of water. Milo sat on the floor, device in hand, listening to the whispers. They were soft, almost like secrets carried on the wind, and Milo felt as if they were inviting him to explore, to discover, to learn what humanity had left behind. He looked at Tara, who had set up a temporary workspace nearby. "Do you feel it too?" he asked. She nodded, her expression a mix of wonder and determination. "Yes. Something is here. Something, alive. We need to find out what it wants." Milo smiled faintly, feeling the weight of the rain and the mystery pressing around them. The storm raged on, but it no longer felt threatening. Instead, it felt like a guide, whispering promises of secrets hidden in the rain, waiting for those brave enough to listen. And Milo knew, deep in his heart, that he was ready. The rain had not stopped for hours, yet inside the station, Milo and Tara felt a strange calm. The glowing device pulsed gently, filling the room with soft, rhythmic lights that reflected in the puddles on the floor. Milo studied the patterns, tracing them with his finger, trying to understand how it worked. Each pulse seemed to respond to his movements, as if the planet itself was aware of him. "Tara," Milo said, leaning closer, "this device. I think it's more than just a tool. It might be some kind of signal. It's like it's talking to us." Tara looked at him carefully. "Talking? You mean, alive?" Milo nodded. "I don't know how else to explain it. The planet. Nereva, it's like it's trying to communicate. And these symbols on the walls, they respond when we're near." Tara reached out, touching one of the glowing symbols. Immediately, the device hummed louder, and Milo felt a rush of energy that made his hair stand on end. He realized the whispers were not just sounds, they were patterns, instructions, even emotions. Excitement, caution, curiosity, all carried in soft pulses he could feel in his chest. "We need to understand this," Tara said firmly. "If Nereva is alive, maybe it can help us. Or warn us about something." Milo agreed. The idea of an intelligent planet was astonishing, but there was something more. The whispers hinted at something hidden, something human in origin. Maybe an old settlement, long forgotten, that had learned to live with the storms rather than fight them. The next morning, the rain finally slowed to a drizzle. Milo and Tara prepared for an expedition outside the station. They donned their waterproof suits and carried equipment to map the symbols and study the device's signals. Every puddle they stepped in reflected the pale, glowing lights of the symbols etched into the rocks and walls around them. Milo couldn't shake the feeling that the planet was watching, guiding their steps. As they moved through the wet terrain, Milo noticed faint tracks in the mud, footprints too precise and deliberate to be natural. "Look at this," he said, kneeling to examine them. "Someone was here before us. Maybe long ago, but the ground preserved their path." Tara studied the tracks. They're heading toward the old canyon. The device reacts stronger in that direction. We should follow. The canyon was a narrow passage between towering rock formations. Rainwater streamed down the sides, creating temporary waterfalls that shimmered in the weak sunlight. Milo and Tara moved carefully, their boots slipping slightly on the slick stone. The device's pulses grew more rhythmic as they approached the center of the canyon. Suddenly, the whispers intensified, clearer than before. Milo could almost make out words, though they were not in any language he had ever learned. Instead, they carried meaning through tone and rhythm, emotions encoded in the sound. Excitement. Urgency. Discovery. There, Tara pointed to a partially buried structure at the canyon's base. Its shape was humanoid, like a small building, but the metal had twisted over centuries. Milo brushed away the dirt and mud, revealing a doorway and a faded symbol that matched the glowing patterns in the station. This is incredible," Milo whispered. "Someone built this, long ago. And the planet, it's guiding us here." Inside the structure, they found remnants of machinery and old data pads, almost destroyed by time and rain. Tara carefully lifted one and powered it using a portable charger. A holographic projection flickered to life, showing images of humans who had lived on Nereva centuries before. They wore simple clothes and worked with the planet rather than against it, adjusting small machines to harness energy from the storms. "They knew how to listen," Tara said softly. "They weren't trying to fight the weather, they were learning from it." Milo felt a wave of awe. The whispers, their memories. The planet is remembering them and showing us their work. As they explored further, they discovered a small, sealed chamber beneath the building. Inside was another device, larger than the first, but completely intact. Its surface glowed faintly, and Milo could feel the energy pulsing even stronger here. "This is powerful," Milo said. "I think it controls part of Nereva's weather systems. The old settlers used it to calm storms and make life possible." Tara nodded. "And maybe, it can help us too. If we can understand it, we might stabilize the storms and protect anyone who comes here next." The rain began to fall again, heavier this time, and the two of them stayed inside the ancient building. Milo held the device carefully, feeling the pulses sync with his heartbeat. He realized that Nereva was more than a planet, it was a partner, a teacher. The whispers were its way of sharing knowledge, and it had chosen them to listen. For the first time since arriving, Milo felt hope. The mission was no longer just about repairs. It was about understanding, learning, and perhaps finding a way for humanity to live in harmony with a world that many had once feared. Outside, the rain continued to pour, but inside, Milo and Tara felt the gentle guidance of whispers in the wet air, promising secrets waiting to be revealed. The canyon was alive with the sound of falling rain, yet inside the ancient settlement, Milo and Tara felt protected, as if the structure itself was shielding them. The larger device they had found hummed softly, its glow pulsing like a calm heartbeat. Milo knelt to examine the symbols etched into its surface. They were more intricate than any he had seen before, a mixture of flowing lines and geometric shapes. "Look at this, Tara," he said. "It's like a map, or a guide. I think it shows how the old settlers managed the storms." Tara leaned in, her eyes wide. "If we can read it, we could understand Nereva's weather on a level no one else has. The planet, it's sharing its knowledge with us." Milo nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and responsibility. They had uncovered more than a malfunctioning station, they had stumbled upon a connection between humanity and the planet itself. The whispers that had followed him since the station seemed stronger here, guiding his hands over the device, teaching him without words. Hours passed as they studied the technology. Tara managed to access a fragment of the old settlers' logs, displayed as flickering holograms. The recordings showed humans working closely with Nereva's storms, adjusting machinery to harness energy safely. They were not trying to control the weather entirely, only to coexist with it, taking what they needed without angering the planet. They were careful, Tara said, her voice soft. They respected the planet. And Nereva, it respected them in return. Milo's fingers traced one of the etched patterns, and suddenly, the device pulsed sharply. The whispers grew louder, almost urgent, and Milo realized that they were not just messages, they were warnings. The planet remembered something dangerous, something that could happen if its energy was mishandled. We need to understand this fully, Milo said. If we misuse this device, we could make the storms worse instead of better. Tara nodded in agreement. We have to be patient. The planet is teaching us slowly. We need to listen. As the rain continued outside, Milo decided to explore further. He carefully pushed open a hidden door at the back of the settlement. It led to a narrow tunnel descending beneath the canyon. The walls were damp, and the air smelled of wet earth and metal. Faint lights glowed from the walls, similar to the patterns on the devices above. Milo felt the whispers growing stronger, guiding him forward. This way, he called to Tara, who followed closely. The planet, it wants us to see this. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber, and Milo gasped. Before them lay the remains of a grand control room. Machines that had once been sophisticated now rested in silence, their lights long faded. Yet the room felt alive. The air vibrated with the same rhythm as the glowing device they had found above. Symbols flickered faintly on the walls, as if the planet itself was projecting them. Tara walked forward, her hand hovering over the controls. It's incredible. They built this to work with the planet, not against it. We have to be careful, but this could change everything. Milo studied the layout. Pipes and conduits twisted across the floor and walls, channeling energy in ways he could barely understand. He realized the old settlers had not just tamed storms, they had learned to listen, to anticipate the planet's moods, and to adjust accordingly. This is more than science, Milo said quietly. It's understanding. Respect. Partnership. Tara nodded. We have to learn that too. If we can stabilize Nereva's storms and make life here possible for everyone. As they worked, the whispers shifted again. Milo felt them not just in his ears, but in his mind. Images flickered like memories, humans walking through storms without fear, machines glowing gently, and the planet responding in soft waves of light. He understood then that Nereva was alive, and it had been waiting for someone to truly listen. Suddenly, a distant rumble echoed through the canyon. Milo looked at Tara, alarmed. That's the storms. Something's changing. Faster than usual. Tara checked the readings on her portable scanner. The energy here is rising. Nereva might be trying to tell us something urgent. We need to focus on the device, it might help calm the upcoming storm. Milo nodded, placing his hands on the control panel. The device pulsed beneath his touch, responding instantly. Symbols danced in patterns he had never seen before, and the whispers grew into a melody of guidance. He could feel the rhythm of the planet, almost like a heartbeat, and for the first time, he understood, Nereva was not just a place to survive, it was a living teacher, willing to share its knowledge with those who respected it. Outside, the rain poured harder, but inside, Milo and Tara felt a strange peace. They had discovered something extraordinary, a hidden connection between humanity and the planet itself. And as they prepared to channel the knowledge they had uncovered, Milo realized this was only the beginning. Nereva had secrets still waiting in the rain, and they were ready to uncover them. The rain outside grew heavier, pounding on the rocks above like the sound of 1,000 drums. Milo and Tara worked quickly in the hidden control chamber, their hands tracing the glowing symbols that pulsed with energy. The device responded to each touch, as if the planet itself guided them, showing the pathways of power and balance. "This energy, it's unstable," Milo said, his brow furrowed. "If we don't manage it correctly, the storms could get worse instead of better. We need to finish this fast." Terra nodded. "We're close. I can feel it. Nereva is guiding us, but we have to understand the warnings too. It's not just teaching, it's cautioning." As they worked, a distant hum grew in the air. Milo stopped, listening carefully. It was different from the usual whispers. The sound was deeper, almost mechanical, and it seemed to come from above the canyon. He raised his hand. "Terra. I don't think we're alone anymore." Suddenly, shapes appeared in the sky. Sleek, silver ships glided through the rain, moving with precision and purpose. Milo's eyes widened. "Those are not human. Who, or what, are they?" Terra checked her scanner. "Unknown alien signatures. They're tracking Nereva's energy. And they're approaching fast." Milo felt a surge of fear, quickly replaced by determination. "We can't let them disrupt the balance. Nereva trusts us, and we have to protect it." The ships landed on the canyon rim, and the ground shook with the force of their engines. Milo and Terra watched through the rain as armored figures emerged, moving toward the hidden settlement. Their appearance was sharp and angular, with metallic suits that reflected the storm's light. The alien presence was intimidating, but Milo noticed something strange: the ships and suits did not interact with the glowing symbols. It was as if the aliens could not see or understand the planet's language. "They don't understand," Terra whispered. "They're here to take, not to listen." Milo's mind raced. The whispers from Nereva grew louder, urgent and insistent, as if the planet itself was warning them. He realized they had to act quickly. The control device could stabilize a portion of the energy, creating a protective field around the settlement, but they had only one chance to get it right. "Okay," Milo said, taking a deep breath. "We follow the patterns. The symbols, the pulses. Nereva will guide us." Together, they touched the glowing lines, tracing the energy paths exactly as the planet seemed to instruct. The device hummed louder, and the air shimmered with light. Outside, the alien ships hesitated, sensing the sudden shift in energy. The rain intensified, and the storm seemed to respond to Milo and Terra's careful manipulation. "This is it," Terra said, her voice steady. "We're connecting with Nereva fully now." A surge of energy pulsed through the chamber, washing over them like a wave. Milo felt the planet's presence more clearly than ever. The whispers were now a chorus of guidance and reassurance. Symbols lit up across the walls, showing the flow of energy and the ways to redirect it safely. He followed each instruction, careful not to rush. Outside, the storm began to change. Lightning struck in controlled bursts, thunder rolled without chaos, and the rain fell in measured sheets. The alien ships attempted to advance, but their instruments went haywire in the shifting energy. Milo realized they had underestimated Nereva. The planet's power could not be taken, it had to be understood. The aliens retreated, unable to manipulate or harvest the energy. Milo and Terra watched as the ships rose into the sky and disappeared into the storm. The whispers of Nereva softened, almost like a sigh of relief. The planet was calm again, its energy balanced and steady. Milo sank to the ground, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it," he said quietly. "We protected Nereva. And it helped us do it." Terra smiled, wiping rain from her face. It chose us for a reason. Nereva trusts humans who listen, who respect it. That's why the aliens failed. They only wanted to take. As the storm began to fade, Milo stood and looked around the hidden settlement. The glowing symbols pulsed gently, as if thanking them for their care. He realized that this mission was far bigger than repairs or survival. It was about understanding a living world and learning to work in harmony with it. We have a lot more to learn, Milo said, his voice steady with purpose. This is just the beginning. Nereva has secrets we haven't uncovered yet. Terra nodded. And now we know the stakes. We have to protect this knowledge, use it wisely, and prepare for whatever comes next. Outside, the rain softened into a steady drizzle. The canyon glistened with reflections of glowing symbols, and the hum of Nereva's energy filled the air. Milo and Terra stood together, ready to explore further, knowing that the planet had chosen them as its partners. For the first time, they felt truly connected not just to the storm, but to a living, breathing world that had been whispering its secrets through the rain. And they were ready to listen. The storm had passed, leaving Nereva glistening under a soft, silver light. Rain still fell lightly, creating ripples in the puddles and reflecting the glowing symbols etched into the rocks and station walls. Milo and Terra stood at the edge of the canyon, the hum of the planet's energy echoing in the air around them. The encounter with the aliens had reminded them of one important truth: Nereva's power was fragile, and understanding it required patience, respect, and careful attention. We need to study the old settlers' work more closely, Milo said, adjusting the device in his hands. They left guidance, but it's fragmented. The planet can fill in some gaps, but we need to learn as much as we can. Terra nodded. Let's start with the data pads we found. If we combine them with the device, maybe we can understand the patterns fully. They returned to the hidden control chamber, careful not to disturb any of the delicate machinery. Milo placed the larger device at the center of the room, and the smaller one on a nearby console. The symbols on both devices pulsed in response, forming new patterns that seemed to interact with each other. The whispers returned, soft and melodic, as if Nereva was encouraging them to continue. Milo traced the symbols with his fingers, feeling the rhythm of the planet. Each pulse carried information: energy flows, storm patterns, even hints about how the settlers had survived the harshest storms. Terra worked alongside him, comparing the holographic recordings with the symbols, decoding sequences that described how to stabilize the weather without harming the planet. Hours passed like minutes. The two of them moved in a careful dance, guided by intuition and the subtle instructions of the planet. Milo realized that this was more than technology, it was communication. Nereva had a mind of its own, and it could teach humans if they were willing to listen. At one point, the whispers shifted, and Milo felt a strange warmth in his chest. He looked at Terra, who had paused and was staring at a sequence of glowing symbols that seemed to float above the device. "Do you feel that?" she asked softly. Milo nodded. "Yes. It's showing us memories. Moments from the past. The settlers working, building, learning from the planet. They weren't afraid, they understood. Together, they followed the guidance, and the devices began to hum in harmony. The energy in the room shifted, flowing in organized currents that matched the patterns on the walls. Outside, the rain and wind fell gently, controlled as if Nereva itself had paused to observe their progress. Suddenly, the whispers grew louder and clearer, almost like voices speaking directly in their minds. Milo and Terra understood that the planet was offering them a solution, not just to stabilize the station, but to protect the entire canyon. A set of symbols formed a map of the energy flows, showing precisely how to redirect the storm's power without damaging the environment. "This is it," Milo said. "If we follow this exactly, we can create a balance. Nereva will remain calm, and no one else can misuse its energy." Terra agreed. "It's a plan, not just a device. The planet is giving us the instructions, and we have to trust it." They worked through the night, carefully activating mechanisms and adjusting energy channels according to the patterns provided. Milo felt the energy respond to his touch, pulsing in perfect rhythm with his heartbeat. Terra monitored the readings, ensuring the system remained stable. Every adjustment they made was reflected outside in the gentle sway of rain and the soft rolling of clouds. By dawn, the canyon was calm. The air was clear, and the storm energy had been absorbed and balanced across the landscape. The devices glowed softly, their light steady and gentle, no longer frantic or unstable. Milo stepped back and exhaled, feeling both relief and awe. "We did it," he said quietly. "We stabilized the energy. Nereva trusts us now." Terra smiled, her eyes shining with satisfaction. "And we've learned so much. The settlers weren't just survivors, they were teachers. Nereva shared their knowledge with us. This is bigger than any storm or machine. It's a partnership." Milo looked out at the canyon. The glowing symbols still pulsed faintly, scattered across the rocks like stars in the rain. He realized that the planet was alive in ways humans had rarely imagined. It could feel, remember, and guide, but only for those who listened. "This is only the beginning," Milo said, turning to Terra. "There are still secrets in the rain, stories of the settlers, and ways to live with Nereva that we haven't uncovered yet." Terra nodded. "And now we know we're ready. Nereva has chosen us to continue what they started. We have to protect it and share this knowledge carefully." The two of them stood together in the quiet canyon, listening to the gentle whispers carried by the rain. It was a soft, melodic sound, like secrets shared only with those who cared to understand. Milo felt hope swelling in his chest. Humanity could survive here, not by fighting the storms, but by listening, learning, and respecting a world far older and wiser than themselves. The rain continued to fall, but it no longer felt dangerous. It was a song, a message, a promise. Milo and Terra smiled at each other, knowing that the partnership between humans and Nereva had just begun and that together, they could face whatever storms might come next. The calm after the storm lasted only a few days. Milo and Terra had begun exploring the canyon in more detail, learning to read the glowing symbols and channel Nereva's energy safely. The hidden control chamber now pulsed gently, a soft reminder that the planet's guidance was always present. But peace on Nereva was fragile. One morning, as the drizzle fell softly over the canyon, Terra's scanner beeped urgently. "Milo, something's approaching," she said, her voice tense. Milo looked up, squinting through the rain. In the distance, silver shapes glimmered above the canyon rim, the alien fleet. The same angular ships they had encountered before were returning, moving faster this time, their engines cutting through the mist like sharp blades. Milo's heart pounded. "They're back," he muttered. "And they mean to take the energy." Terra nodded. "We can't let them disrupt Nereva. We have to protect it, and we have to do it right." Milo thought quickly. The planet is stable now, but it's still vulnerable. We need to use the devices to create a protective field. If we can control the energy flow, Nereva will shield itself. They rushed to the control chamber. Milo activated the larger device while Terra monitored the smaller one. The glowing symbols brightened, responding immediately to their commands. The whispers returned, stronger and more urgent than before. Milo felt the planet's presence around them, guiding his hands over the controls. Outside, the alien ships descended toward the canyon floor, their engines stirring strong winds and pounding rain. The humans could see them clearly now, sleek, metallic figures, moving in coordinated patterns. But as Milo and Terra worked, the planet's energy began to pulse outward, forming a faint shimmer above the canyon. "They can't see it," Terra said in awe. "The energy, it's hiding us and the canyon from them." Milo nodded, focusing on the symbols. The whispers instructed him to adjust the flow of power, redirecting it in controlled pulses. The air crackled with energy, but it was steady, contained. The alien ships hesitated, their sensors unable to read the changes. Nereva itself was protecting its secrets. "Almost there," Milo whispered. His hands moved over the controls, following the patterns perfectly. Every pulse of energy, every light on the devices, matched the rhythm of the planet. It was like dancing with the storm itself, careful, deliberate, and harmonious. Suddenly, one of the alien ships broke formation, attempting to force its way closer. The device responded instantly. A controlled pulse of energy radiated outward, causing the ship to falter in the air, its engines sputtering. The aliens tried again, but each attempt was met with a subtle but firm resistance. Nereva's energy was alive, and it could not be taken by force. Terra smiled despite the tension. "They didn't understand the warnings. They only want to take. That's why they can't succeed." Milo nodded, feeling a deep connection to the planet. "Nereva trusts us because we listen. That's why we can do this." The battle continued for hours. The rain poured in sheets, lightning crackled in distant clouds, and thunder rolled across the canyon. But Milo and Terra worked in perfect sync with the planet, directing energy flows and maintaining stability. The alien ships struggled to adjust to the shifting currents and finally retreated, unable to manipulate the controlled, living energy of Nereva. When the last ship disappeared into the mist, the whispers softened, like a gentle sigh of relief. The rain became steady, calm, and the glowing symbols dimmed to a soothing glow. Milo sank to the floor, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it," he said quietly. "The aliens couldn't take Nereva. And the planet, it helped us." Terra nodded, brushing rain from her coat. "It's not just about power. It's about respect. We understand that now, and so does Nereva." The two of them stepped outside, feeling the gentle drizzle wash over them. The canyon shimmered with soft, glowing symbols, reflecting in the puddles on the ground. Milo looked around and realized how alive the world felt. The rain, the rocks, the symbols, all connected in a balance that only patience, respect, and careful attention could achieve. "This is bigger than any storm or machine," Milo said. "It's about living in harmony with something greater than ourselves. Nereva has shown us that humans can survive here, and thrive if we listen and learn." Terra smiled, gazing at the glowing canyon walls. "And now we know our responsibility. To protect this knowledge, to respect Nereva, and to prepare for whatever comes next." For a long moment, they stood together, listening to the soft whispers carried on the rain. Nereva was calm, but alive, and it had shared its guidance willingly. Milo realized that humanity had not only survived a storm, they had proven that intelligence, patience, and understanding could forge a bond between humans and a world that seemed impossible to tame. The rain continued to fall, but now it felt like a song, a gentle melody carrying secrets of hope, knowledge, and life. Milo and Terra knew that the story of Nereva was only beginning and that together, they would uncover every secret hidden in the whispered rain. The rain had softened to a gentle drizzle, falling in silver threads over the canyon. The storms of Nereva seemed calmer now, their power balanced by the careful work of Milo, Terra, and the guidance of the planet itself. The alien ships were gone, retreating to parts unknown, unable to harness the living energy of Nereva. The air felt different, lighter, peaceful, and alive with possibility. Milo and Terra walked through the canyon, stepping carefully over puddles that reflected the glowing symbols. The light seemed to pulse in rhythm with the soft whisper of the wind, a quiet song from the planet. Milo touched the symbols lightly. "It's amazing," he said. "The planet isn't just alive, it's aware of us, of everything we do. And it trusts us." Terra nodded. "We've proven ourselves. We listened. We didn't try to take. We learned. And that's why Nereva shared its knowledge with us." The two of them returned to the hidden control chamber. The devices were quiet now, their glow soft and steady. Milo carefully examined the larger device, realizing that it had not just stabilized the energy, it had created a connection, a lasting bond between humans and Nereva. "I think the planet will continue guiding us," Milo said. "Even after we leave this canyon. The whispers will always be here, helping us understand it better." Terra smiled. "And we can pass on what we've learned. This knowledge, this understanding, it can help humans live here safely, in harmony with the storms, instead of fighting them." They spent the day exploring the settlement one last time, cataloging symbols, devices, and holographic recordings. Each discovery felt like a gift, a message from both the old settlers and the planet. Milo realized how much humans had yet to learn. Nereva's storms were not enemies, they were teachers. Every thunderclap, every flash of lightning, every gust of wind was a lesson in patience, respect, and balance. As the sun began to peek through the clouds, Milo and Terra climbed to a ledge overlooking the canyon. The rain shimmered in the light, and the glowing symbols scattered across the rocks seemed to dance with joy. Milo felt a deep sense of pride. Humans had arrived on Nereva and, rather than conquering it, they had listened, learned, and worked with it. "Look at it," Terra said softly. "It's beautiful. And it's alive in ways we couldn't have imagined before." Milo nodded. "We're just beginning. There's still so much to discover. Other settlements, other devices, maybe even more messages from the planet itself." A soft pulse of energy brushed against Milo's hands as he reached out to the air. The whispers returned, gentle and melodic. This time, they did not guide or warn, they seemed to congratulate. Milo could feel the memory of the old settlers mingling with the living energy of the planet. Nereva was sharing its history, its lessons, and its hope for the future. Terra stepped beside him, watching the rain with quiet wonder. "I think the planet has been waiting for someone like us. Someone who would respect it and learn from it. That's why it revealed itself, and why it helped us stabilize the storms." Milo smiled. "Humans have always been curious, resourceful, and brave. Nereva just needed to see that we could use those traits wisely, not recklessly. We didn't just survive, we earned its trust." For a long time, they stood there in silence, listening to the soft whispers carried by the rain. Milo felt a sense of connection deeper than anything he had experienced before. Nereva was no longer just a planet, it was a partner, a guide, and a friend. As the day ended, Milo and Terra prepared to set up a new base within the canyon. The hidden settlement would serve as a center for learning and observation. Humans could live here safely, guided by Nereva's energy and wisdom, without harming the delicate balance of the planet. This is only the beginning, Milo said. We've learned to listen, but there's still so much more. Nereva has secrets in the rain, and we'll discover them one by one. Terra nodded, her eyes shining with determination. And we'll make sure future explorers understand the same thing. Respect, curiosity, and care, that's how humans survive here. That's how we thrive. The rain continued to fall, soft and steady, carrying whispered secrets across the canyon. Milo and Terra listened, feeling the planet's pulse in their hearts. They knew that humanity had found a home in Nereva, not by fighting its storms, but by learning from them. And in doing so, they had proven the best of what humans could be: intelligent, adaptable, and deeply respectful of life in all its forms. As the sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow over the canyon, Milo whispered to the planet. "Thank you, Nereva. We will listen. We will learn. And we will protect what you've shared with us." The whispers answered, soft and melodic, like a lullaby carried on the rain. And for the first time, the storms felt like a song of hope, a promise that humanity and Nereva could walk together, side by side, into the future.